Hey everyone, welcome back to No Nostalgia Allowed, a series where I examine different games from the past that many people remember fondly from their childhoods. However, instead of using nostalgia to inflate my opinion of the game, I do my best to look at the games as if it was my first time playing them. Today I'll examine Viva Piñata, a simulation game developed by Rare. Viva Piñata released late November 2006 for the Xbox 360. It spawned from a television series of the same name and led to a sequel and two spin-offs. The name eventually died off in the late 2000s, but the games are still remembered fondly and received predominantly positive reviews. The premise of the game is that you're a piñata farmer. Yeah, I know it sounds pretty ridiculous, but stay with me. So basically, you have to raise, breed, and sell these piñatas to meet different criteria, make money, upgrade your garden, etc. The premise, surprisingly enough, works extremely well. The colorful and friendly environments blend perfectly with the outrageous ideas present in the game. And while the entire game may look incredibly childish, I can't deny that the game's design, the colorful atmosphere, and the ever-changing layout of the garden was actually my favorite aspect of the game. It can go from incredibly vibrant summertime colors to dark and extremely faded during the nighttime in just a few minutes, and it all flows extremely well, even by today's standards. The soundtrack is also excellent. It matches the environment perfectly, but it isn't overbearing if you want to focus on something else while you play. Along with this, Viva Piñata excels at just being a simple game to turn on and mildly play while listening to a podcast or binge watching The Office for the 47th time. It's really relaxing and requires a very minuscule amount of focus. There isn't very much actual conflict that you have to deal with constantly, and that's okay. It's what the game seems to be aiming for. And it works great to just turn on the game after a long day of classes, work, therapy, Pilates, if that's what you're into. The extensive cast of characters, all serving their own purpose, are easy to talk to and very hard to forget if you've been away from the game for some time. That being said, there are still some things that require your attention, but calling the game demanding would just be lying. This is also the kind of game that you decide when it's finished, which isn't necessarily a good thing, but I'll get into that later. For this review, I played the game for about 10 hours, but I feel I could have sank another 60 or 70 into it and still not discovered everything. The game doesn't have a definite ending. You set your own goals, find out how to accomplish them, and solve them. There isn't really a grand scheme at play or a general evil that you're trying to defeat. Yes, there are bad guys and you have to stop them throughout the game, but they only act as a deterrent as opposed to a giant plot device. This works for and against the game. On one hand, it allows the player to play for as long as they want and dictate their own ending. But on the other hand, I found it hard to motivate myself to play for more than an hour or so at a time just because I didn't really feel like I was going anywhere. Good news though, each and every playthrough can be super varied due to the nature of the game. I just realized I really didn't explain the game, so I'll try to do that right now. So, in Viva Piñata, you have to farm piñatas by attracting them to your garden by a number of different ways. Once you have found a piñata for the first time, its requirements are stored in a journal for you, so you won't have to remember everything. You attract these piñatas by growing fruits, vegetables, building certain objects, having grass or water, having certain piñatas in your farm already, the list just goes on and on and on. By doing these things, you're making money, which in return goes back into your farm for buying seeds, piñata houses, and even exclusive piñatas you can't find in the wild. Different piñatas require different regulations, however, and this can make it extremely difficult to have piñatas together that have two vastly different requirements. This means if you want to experience everything the game has to offer, you might have to play through the game multiple times. I say have to like it's a bad thing, but I can see the appeal of having a game that just keeps on going, even if I don't personally like that. But this brings me to my personal issues with the game. I desire my games to have an endpoint, or at least a universal goal that many people would consider a suitable ending. And Viva Piñata just doesn't offer that. I suppose if you get all the achievements, raise every possible piñata, etc., you could officially say that you've completed the game, and I commend that. But that just doesn't do it for me. It all just seems too open-ended for me to ever be ultimately satisfied. There's also a whole lot of grinding and repetitiveness in general that you have to do over and over and over, like the romance game for instance. In order to breed piñatas, you have to go through this mini game that requires you to make your way through a maze to reach your, lover in this case. This is cute for like the first 3 times, but then when you have to do it for the 60th and 70th and 80th time, it really just makes you want to shut the game off. They also offer you money as an incentive to play this game, but it's only ever like 10 coins, and that just isn't worth it after maybe the first 5 times. I played the game on my Xbox One S using the backwards compatibility, which is great, but I also noticed that the game was extremely framey at times, making it lag and stutter far more than I thought it should have. I don't know if this is a universal problem or just me, but I thought it was worth mentioning. So ultimately, I have decided that while I do greatly appreciate Viva Piñata, I don't really think it's the game for me. Despite its relaxed nature, little conflict, and absolutely stunning game design, the lack of an ultimate goal makes me struggle to continue to find a desire to play. If you're into a game with no definite ending, and many different ways to grind to be the best piñata farmer in the world, then this is definitely for you. But if you desire a game with goals and an actual endpoint, you may want to look at other farming simulators. Well, that's all for me today. If you liked the video, please feel free to give it a like, and if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. If you agree, disagree, or want to criticize my opinion or video making skills, leave a comment down below. I'll see y'all next time.